what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining me again. Winter is here, and we need to bring about the solutions. So on today's topic, we're going to be talking about the winter storms that are coming in, and they're being reported to be as severe as we've had in U.S. history, at least of recent, and it's only going to get worse. Just recently, right before Christmas, we had a major storm come through, and the death toll keeps rising from Buffalo and across the country. But CNN reported that the winter storm death toll has risen up to 37 in Erie County, New York, as crews continue to clear roads and first responders check on people they couldn't reach days ago. And there's at least 25 others across the U.S. in at least 11 states. So I guess in retrospect, that doesn't sound like a lot, but let's make it personal. Let's make it real so it actually sits with you. So there's this young nurse, Andell Taylor, who was found dead in her car in a Buffalo blizzard. She was in her car where the snow had piled up beyond her exhaust, piling her in, and she had requested for car assistance, people to come help dig her out, family members to come get her. And so she just decided to sit in her car and wait for the responders to come help get her out of the car, or at least liberate her car from the snow. And because the snow was beyond her exhaust pipe, it had frozen, clogged, and blocked the exhaust. And so while she was just sitting in there relaxing, taking a nap, turns out she ended up killing herself from the blocked exhaust. And I know that's an anomaly story, but it goes to show the severity of the snow that's coming in. Again, when the snow is so high that it's above your exhaust, here's my father turning me onto this story. And he goes, so be sure to check your exhaust, I guess. Things you don't even know to think of that could really affect your mortality. So I'm going to volley this over to my friend John, because we got to come up with some solutions as this dreadful winter continues to grow.
You know, when you have all this, I don't want to say chaos, but when you have something negative that happens in the world, you know the media is going to be all over it, and they're only going to highlight the negative stories, just like the one we were learning about just now. And that is very tragic. And yeah, there are people that are losing their lives because, let's face it, where a lot of us aren't prepared for this crazy weather. And it was just like in the 50s yesterday for me. And then before that, it was like 20s. So now people's health is just, it's like putting cold water in the fish tank. You know, fish just go belly up. You know, what do you think about us? If you have a very taxed immune system, you're going to get sick, and people are just calling out left and right. I see it all the time. And so his solution was, on the health side, yeah, take care of your health, because the weather's going up and down, and you got to make sure your body can handle that. And then also, two, be aware of your surroundings. And three, my take is more on a conscious level, where it's, yes, remember, the media is going to be very fear factor, very like fear porn. They want your attention. And my conversation with my friends and my family is relax and educate yourself, right? Don't just rely on the media and the corporations to tell you that they're going to take care of you, but at the same time kind of put you in this fear mode and then offer you a solution. That's just a selling tactic. Why not educate yourself on, hey, you know what, this is part of the globe going through its stages, and right now we just happen to be in the part of time, the cycle of the planet, where climate is changing drastically. It's not as much of what we're doing, and you can look this up. There's scientists that are really trying to educate people, and they're just being silenced because it's more profitable to get people to convince people that they need to be taxed to use in using like that carbon tax and using gas cars. But just instead of going into that fear mode and just making rash decisions, my solution is educate yourself on what's really going on so you can calm your nerves and make better conscious decisions and prepare for the changes. That's what I say.
That's a great answer. However, I'm not going to let you escape living in the gray and evading with the vague. Okay, so if we can't trust the media, but we need to educate ourselves, where are they going for that?
Do a search for people that are educated in the environment, but aren't You have to look at these people and who are funding their projects.
So you're saying just find like an Instagram that you trust?
No, like look for scientists, like actual environmental like people that have been doing this for years, but make sure that their funding isn't coming from a company that will be compromising the research, which happens all the
So have
time.
you found anybody that accomplishes that for you?
Um, because I mean, that would be like a long story of like explanation, but as far as like I go on the understanding of that the Earth goes through. How about this? We are aware that the planet spins around and then it spins around the sun, and therefore you have um your 4 seasons, right? In some places there's 2 seasons, and that's where we get our weather patterns. And then you have the moon that pulls on the patterns on the shores and the water, and we have like all that going on, the tides. But a lot of us don't talk about the motion of the sun, because the sun's moving around something. And so the cycle that we're going through has to do with the sun's cycle. And so look into that, because the moon goes around the earth goes around the sun. Where does the sun go? That's another cycle. And I mean, I'll reference David Wilcock. He has done research, and he's looked into a lot of the NASA research, and what it shows that we're not the only one that's going through this global warming or climate change. All the planets in our solar system are going through that, and they're going through extreme temperature changes. So, I mean, unless there's huge societies on Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter that are driving cars and throwing plastic into the ocean, it's more of the cycles than it is us. It's easy to say that it's us. I'm pretty sure we're not helping it, but a large factor of it is the cycles that is just our solar system's position in that cycle. And from what I understand, we're going through a system that's more energetic, and it's speeding
Yes.
up everything in the solar system, which is warming things and is just speeding everything up. So we're going into an energetic cloud. That's
Well,
something you can look into. Yeah.
what's very interesting about that is, okay, for those of you who aren't, meteorologists or planet specialists, there's a concept called El Nino and El Nina. And that is a heating and cooling period that the planet goes through. And it has to do with that cycle of the sun and everything else. But it speaks to, right. And here's what's interesting. To my understanding, right now this year is an El Nino. El Nino means that we're in a heating period, whereas El Nina is in a cooling period. And so, as Jon had alluded to, that does excite the energy and can cause problems elsewhere. But it's also very interesting that we're going through a heating, like a warmer winter, that somehow is now resulting in these crazy winter storms and stronger winds, and maybe not as often of a snowstorm, but when they do, they tend to hit harder, I guess. So I see his position of there's a benefit to keeping yourself informed. But also I think there's a realism to, you can know the train's coming all you want, but as long as you're standing on the tracks, information ain't going to save you.
Get off those
So,
tracks.
so just, take one step, skirt it over, and you'll dodge it. No, but what is that? What are the steps you take to get you off that track from getting plowed over by the storm that's coming, or, the train that's coming? The reality is, it's sad, but oftentimes all you can really rely on is preparedness. Right now, we're living in a period where people that are hyper fixated on preparedness are being written off as doomsdayers, and there's algorithms trying to suppress even those people that are trying to just be prepared for whatever may come, whether it be a crazy zombie apocalypse like Jon and I have talked about, or it be something real and extreme. Preparedness is now being kind of discouraged. So I think we know you've lived through a winter before. If you're a guy in Texas listening to this, I don't know how much this truly affects you. We'll get to something that Jon had brought up right to me right before we started, which was this hurricane crazy storm coming, which could have an impact on the southern states, but not as much as it's going to have. As a guy from Cleveland, the one thing that I've always related to the people of Buffalo is we get it really bad because of the lake effect. Now, we've always got this side cousin over in New York that gets it significantly worse, but man, when they get it, we get it, and we're kind of like in tandem sharing our pain. So I know what a winter's like. I know it's what you've lived through it. It can suck. And if we're going to tell you it's possibly going to get worse, yes, you need to kind of make sure your ducks are in a row so you're prepared for that. But what does that preparation look like besides just standing there, fixated on the TV, waiting for the gods to ordain what the next step is going to be, or, just scrolling through random scientists and profiles trying to find the answer? I think the best thing you can do, and I don't know if you've been to the grocery store lately. I don't know if you should click on over to our food crisis conversation, but the grocery stores are looking sparse and scary. I just had some people at work talking about how they went to the grocery store looking for bread. I just wanted my sandwich. I was looking for my special bread, and the bread aisle was like a ghost town. There was nothing there. And it's like, that's just the beginning. So in a world where we know that food's going to become scarce, you're not going to be able to grow your own chickens and cows because things are going to get rough. I think you need to start thinking about canned food. I think you need to start thinking about protection. I know that those blue jerseys are coming for your guns, but guess what? When the world goes to hell, you're going to really wish you had one, and you're going to be thankful your neighbor was thinking about it. So there's types of things. You need to think about security for your home, health, and I guess resources for the people that are staying with you.
I agree.
And warmth and security. So if you don't have winter coats, make sure you have them. If you don't have blankets, make sure you have them. I could tell you all day till my face gets blue about heaters and all those other things, but what happens when the power grid goes down? Click on over. We're going to have another one of those solutions coming soon. But if you don't have power, all right, well, are you one of the houses that have a pile of lumber in the back just in case when the chimney becomes relevant again? So those are the types of things you need to consider. Information is great. Information is important, and you should stay informed, but also at the same time, that isn't what's going to save you. You could be ignorant to what's coming or totally informed, but when it's knocking at your door, are you ready to take it on? And that's what you need to focus on. So John, let me volley it back to you.
No, I agree. I mean, it's preparedness, and when you're prepared, you're not going to be stressed as much. But then don't go shouting to everybody, "Hey, I got a bunch of canned food, and I'm all ready." Prepare. And they're like, "No, we got this guy."
Exactly.
Knock, knock, knock. So it's kind of like be conscious of your neighbors as well, And I will. Oh man, I don't know if I mentioned the story of when my power went out, but it was nutsy. I've never said that in my life. Never said that. We lost power for like 9 days. We had a water well system, but you need salt to desalinate it. And so, when we ran out of salt, we were taking showers at the 24-hour gym that actually had power, like the next town over. So that was fun. And then I went to the grocery store, and it was a madhouse. It was like The Walking Dead right before, everybody started dying. Everybody's running around. And so you go into a grocery store, and I'm like, I just need some water. And I'm kind of going, and everybody's like running around, and you see this tall tower of water, like of 28 packs or whatever the pack was, and it was just shrinking, just people just grabbing as I'm walking down the aisle to approach it, to the point where there's 2 left, and this woman that already had like 3 in her carriage grabbed one. There was 1 left. I snatched it, and she was like, "Oh, I was gonna get that." I'm like, "You have 3." And then I just put it in, and I just walked around, like I turned around and just ignored her as she was screaming behind me. And then I'm going to the cashiers, and I'm just getting like stared at because I got water, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who's coming through the doors. And so I'm going to pay it. They're coming to get it, and they're asking me, "Oh, where's the water?" I'm like, it's back there. I didn't say it's gone. So you have to, be mentally prepared for what scarcity does to people, and also have patience as well. I like talking about handling the emotions of it, because it's going to be huge. Handle your emotions. You'll be more focused on solutions instead of we're gonna die. Like, hey, you know what? Just keep it to yourself. Know your surroundings. If you need to, get strapped, or if you don't have it, get a bat, a metal one, defend your home. And then, yeah, that's what I would say. Also, did you know that if you have some states, it's legal to have medicinal marijuana. If you have the medical card to get it, you can't get a gun permit. It's one or the other. It's one or the
That
other.
is such a crime. That is such a crime. Well, I think you raised a great point. And again, preparedness, these are the types of things to start thinking about. But also in the moment of disparity, those people that are kind of laughing like, you got the last one, while also giving you the side A, they're not going to be that pleasant when they're truly desperate. Right now, there's the murmurs of disparity. There's kind of the shadows of it. You're seeing little bits of it, but we haven't been totally confronted with it. And I think it's at the moment that we are truly desperate and in trouble that things aren't going to be so friendly, and you're going to need to be able to hold your own, and that doesn't mean the grocery stores are going to turn into the Wild Wild West and you got to be able to fight your way through. That means it might be coming to your front door. And the point at which where, the world has gone to Mad Max, are you going to be able to take care of it? Now, I would say this, as somebody that works at a court, you learn that physical, like violence outward, like out in the streets, goes down when the snow happens, but domestic violences go through the roof because people just can't live with each other and they're stuck inside. So I don't imagine, because today's conversation is strictly to winter storms, I don't see, it becoming so wild that people are busting into other. But guess what? Homeless people exist. They're going to need a place to go. There's going to be people whose homes are broken down, and without the heat that is coming from the energy itself, and their heat, the power grid, whatever goes down, they're going to become desperate for homes that could truly keep them warm. So yes, those issues will exist, but I think hopefully maybe a winter storm keeps them at bay. I think your main focus is going to be preparedness in terms of resources. So again, food, water, shelter, and you aren't thinking about it. I don't need to think about it because I'm in Ohio with woods. So I got trees, but do you have firewood, or are you going to be going all Hitler and burning your books? I mean, what are you going to be doing to keep yourself warm? You got to be prepared. But other than that, I think that is all you can do. Now that I give you little anecdotal stories about people's mufflers, I think you should think about, all right, is my exhaust going to kill me today? Little anecdotal stories like that. But other than that, I don't know how much more you can do besides stay informed, as Jon suggested, and be prepared, and wear a coat, keep those toesies warm. Remember that heat comes out of your ears and out of your toes more than any other place in your body. So in moments of disparity, the things that you need to keep warm first are your feet and your ears.
And
Other
keep
than
it
that, that's all
dry.
I could really leave you. What's that, Jon?
Keep your feet dry.
Yes, that too. I mean,
Even
it's
if you
really
have
going
to
to
get,
come down to your feet.
like, we put our feet in Ziploc bags at one point just because we didn't have the water resistant boots. Do what you have to do, but be conscious of keeping them dry.
Yes. Great advice. All right, guys. So if we made you laugh, if we made you think, the best you could do to support this show is share this episode. Take that link, spread it on your Facebook, whatever the case may be. Text it to your friends, because if you liked it, that means someone else definitely will too. Otherwise, you can catch all of our content at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. And Jon, where can they find you?
www.newagehuman.com, and then also the New Age Human channel on YouTube and Rumble. Also, Jon Astacio on Instagram.
Yep. You can catch me on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at Grgat57. And otherwise, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.